What's up everybody, Camero here, and welcome to part 60 of my How to Make a Pokemon Game tutorial series. In this episode, we are going to be talking about Z-moves. First, I'm going to show you a completed project that I have right here where Z-moves have been installed, and I'm going to show you how they work. After that, we're going to download and install the scripts into a different project, and we're going to be adding the Z-ring and Z-crystal items. And once that's done, it should be good to go. So then afterwards, we'll run some additional tests, checking the functionality of the Z-moves within our game. And then after that, we're going to be looking at Z-move animations and how they can be updated. With all of that said, let's get into it. So like I said before, what I have here is a finished game, or not a finished game, but rather a game that has Z-moves already installed. I was using this to test them earlier today, and I added a Poplio to the game. I figured it's a Generation 7 mechanic, Z-moves, so I might as well add a Generation 7 Pokemon. Poplio's kinda cute, and yeah, he's gonna work perfectly for our testing. So I've added a Z-ring into the key items that we can use for our Z-moves, and I've added a couple Z-crystals that I can pick up off the ground here. Poplio is a water-type Pokemon, and he knows a water-type move, so I will give him the Waterium Z-crystal, or Waterium. Anyway, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but what I do know is that when I use the Z-move, I'm absolutely going to destroy the wild Pokemon on this route. So, once the battle starts, I can hit fight, and you can see I am prompted with a Z button up there. So if I hit Z on my keyboard, I can now select Water Pulse, and now I will use my Z move. I unleashed my full force Z move, Hydro Vortex. Boom. Yeah, that Pidgey is donezo. Cool. So the basic functionality is working. If we wanted to, we could showcase it a little bit further in this finished product, but I say let's get started installing it into a new project. I'm going to close this down, and what you can see here is I've got my new game folder, and I've got this Z-move update folder with all the good stuff inside of it. So let's actually just get started with the download. First things first, I want to thank Amethyst Rain, Marcelo, and T-Rex from this Poke community thread. They've all been instrumental in getting this working. Marcelo primarily with getting the Z-moves to be working with Pokemon Essentials 16.2. However, I'm using Pokemon Essentials 17.2. And thanks to T-Rex, this has been ported to Pokemon Essentials 17.2. So what I have downloaded is this folder right here from his Google Drive that has all of the Z-move information that we need. So I've downloaded it and put it on my computer into a folder here called Z-move Update. Within this, if I do view large icons here, within this, we have a text document showcasing the additions to our scripts. This is going to be extremely important. We also have the Battle Z-Move UI prompt, which we saw earlier, crystals.txt, which shows all of the items that we want to be adding to our game. And they all start with XXX. We're going to want to replace that with the item numbers for our own items. And then Z-Move README. This contains a lot of very important information required when it comes to installing the Z-moves. However, I've read it, and now I'm going to recite that information to you now. So, the most important thing within this folder, I mean, they're all very important, but I would say the most important thing here is this scripts.rxdata file. The way that this works, or the way that this is intended to work for us to install our Z-moves, is to drag and drop this into our game and replace our previous scripts with this new one that is including the Z-moves. However, that is extremely, I'm not going to say dangerous, however, it's extremely important that you consider what this means. If you have a game that you have been working on, and you have been modifying your own scripts, what this will do is overwrite all of your changes and basically send them back to default values. So you have to consider that when approaching Z-moves. So that is why this additions.txt is extremely important. This shows you the areas where Z-moves have altered the scripts. However, for our own purposes, I'm going to find it easier to drag and drop this onto a new game. For your own purposes, though, I would say definitely make a backup of your game. If you plan on doing anything with Z-moves, and you already have a project that you've been working on for a while and editing the scripts, 100% make a backup. The worst thing that you could do is overwrite all of your scripts and then regret it later. So what we're going to do is first and foremost, make a little backup folder here, and then we're going to make those script changes. If you want to, you could drag and drop the scripts into your backup folder and go and look at all the script areas that have been modified by ZMoves, and then go and make those changes to your other game. However, since this is essentially a fresh project here, I'm going to find it easiest to drag and drop that scripts.rx data and replace. So what I'm actually going to do here is highlight it and hit Control-C to copy it. Then I'm going to go back to my game. So I've already made a backup here. Thank God. We want to back that up. So now what I can do is go into my game, then go into the data folder, and then hit Control-V to paste, and then replace the file in this destination. What this has done is just overwritten all of the scripts in my project to now include the ZMove scripting. So now what we can do is open our project, go into our scripts, and what we can see, let's see, I'm trying to find where the best example of it is. It's in Pokebattle ZMoves. So yeah, if you have installed any other scripts, this will overwrite all of them. So huge and heavy decision for you to make. If you have made a significant progress on your game and you don't want to overwrite all your scripts, that makes perfect sense. That's 100% understandable. At that point, you would have to weigh the decision of, do I want ZMoves in my game or not, or do I want to go through the painstaking progress of manually installing different sections? Anyway, that's just about all the heavy stuff out of the way. One more thing that I would like to note is that this does not work with Elite Battle System. So if you are using Elite Battle System and you want to get ZMoves, then I'm sorry, right now there's currently no, like as of the recording of this video, there was no support for that. Anyway, all of me droning on aside, what we've done now is we've installed the scripts. That was actually super easy. If you have a fresh project, like I said before, you just copy it and paste it into the data, and we've already installed the scripts. So we're already very far along in the process. There's only a few more things to do now. So what I want to do is now add the Z ring and Z crystal items. So let's go into our items.txt, which is right here. And let's scroll on down to the very bottom. And I see that they have a shiny charm here, and that's a key item. Let's just copy and paste that and make our own new key item called the Z ring. So instead of 525, this will be item 526. And we're going to call this Z ring. And I guess in game it'll look like Z dash ring. And then plural, I guess, would be Z rings, although I don't really see how, if people want to wear multiple. And then the description, I'm just going to say a special ring that awakens Z powers in Pokemon. There we go. Perfect. So now the Z ring has already been added. We can get some art for our Z ring, and I'm going to do that in a little bit. But the Z ring has been added. And one thing that's extremely important now is to go into our scripts and make sure that the Z ring is considered for our ZMoves to be used. So one thing that I will let you know is a fun little fact about these Z rings is it actually uses the exact same logic as Mega rings. So if your item is within this array of Mega rings, then it allows you to use ZMoves. So what we can actually do is hit comma and then add our Z ring to this array of Mega rings. So now, if this is in our inventory, and our Pokemon is able to use Z moves, and so they are holding a Z crystal, then they will be able to use the Z move. So, for example, if we added our Z crystals to the game, and our Pokemon is holding a Z crystal, and we have the Mega Ring in our inventory, then we will be able to use Z moves. So we've just added Z rings to this list of allowances. So the Z ring is already in the game, and we don't have any art for it yet. But let's focus on our crystals now. Let's go back to our items.txt. And remember before when I said there was that crystals.txt? Oh boy, here it is. So we can actually hit Control A and copy this and paste it. And now we have all of the crystals with all of the information in our game, except they don't have the number values there, the XXX. So, like, we would want to change this one to 527, 527, and then 528, and so on and so forth. However, I'm kind of against doing all of that manual labor. That's a ton of stuff. I've actually already added this to an existing game. So what I'm going to do is go and copy that from the other game that I worked on. So I already did this earlier, if I'm being honest. I went in and manually typed in 527, 528, 529 already, and I don't want to have to do that again in this video. What I'm going to do is provide a link to download this in the description. If there's anything that I find to be really annoying and repetitive, I'm going to put a link to that in the description. Speaking of annoying and repetitive, and will be linked in the description, now that we have our items here, our items all need art. So this is where the other folder in the ZMove update comes in. There's the graphics and the icons, and look at this, they have icons for all of our items. However, oh yeah, never mind. So they didn't originally start off as item with the proper numbers. Originally, I think when you download them, they're like item 700. So what I did is I changed all of them to be 527, 528, so that way they match all of our items. So for example, item 527 here is the Buginium Z, 528 is Buginium Z2, so here we have all of them. I'll explain it later, but for each crystal, we want to have 2 versions. So that's why there's basically the Buginium 1, 2, Darkinium 1, 2, Dragonium 1, 2, so on and so forth. So, like I said before, this will all be available to be downloaded in the description, but the rough idea of it is, we copy this, go into our game, go into the graphics folder, go into the icons folder, and scroll on down to the bottom here, so we can see that there's item 525, and paste-a-roni. So we still don't have our graphic for item 526. What I can do is actually go and steal it from the other game project that I was working on. Essentially what I did was I just went online and downloaded a PNG of the ring graphic, and it looks very out of place. But hey, it is a literal Z ring, so it'll get the job done, I think. Let's see, here it is. Yeah, look at this. It doesn't match like the aesthetic of the game very much at all because it looks like a 3D model. Let me copy this and go to our new game, which is here. Go into the graphics, go into the icons, and paste that. So now we have item 526, which is our Z ring, and then items 527 all the way down to 584, which are all of our new crystals. One thing that's really interesting is the crystals.txt has these items as like 1 is 508 and 2 is 007 here at the end of the items.txt. I kind of don't like the crystal ones at all, so this will be a good point for me to break down what is 1 and what is 2 and how that works. 1 goes in your key items bag, and you can use it, and when you use it on a Pokemon, it'll actually change into item 2, and when it's item 2, it'll be a held item that they can hold. But I would prefer to, instead of all of that, just give my Pokemon item 2 and have that be a held item. So what I've actually done in my items.txt is I've changed all of the item 2, or all of the crystal 2 endings to 000. So for example, just so I can break it down in a way that makes sense, Buginium Z and Buginium Z2. At the ending of Buginium Z2, I have 000 here, and this number here, 1, means that it's going into the items bag. Buginium Z, this item 8 means it's going into the key items bag, and 508 here means that it can be used on a Pokemon, and I kind of don't like that. So rather than giving ourselves Buginium Z, I'm going to make it so that way whenever Z crystals are given to the player, I'm actually giving them Buginium Z2. And if we wanted to, we could change this 1 to an 8. So that way, if they're 000 and they're in pouch 8, it's a key item that we can have Pokemon hold, which doesn't sound too bad. So for our example, I'm using the water one a lot. So I'm going to find Waterium here, or Waterium, and change this 1 to an 8. So that way, whenever we receive it, it'll go into our key items bag, but it'll be a held item. That sounds pretty good, right? Like, that's probably the best outcome. I would prefer Z moves to be held items that I guess are separated into the key items bag, because they are important, but they're also something that you give to a Pokemon. So I said it before, but I don't like these crystals that are just like Pikachunium Z. I prefer Z2. So all of that confusing stuff aside, what we've got here is basically we've transferred over the crystals info into our items.txt, and what we've decided on is putting them as held items with 000 at the end of the text, into our key items pouch. So all of that fun stuff has now been decided, and our scripts are in our project, and our items are in our project, so theoretically we should be able to get this rolling. What I'm going to do now is really quickly copy this this item right here and go to root 1, plop it on down, and then edit it so that way instead of giving us a great ball, we can give ourselves a Waterium Z2. There we go. See, I said before that that's the one that I like. That's really the only one that functions. If you have your Pokemon hold the item 1, then Z moves won't they won't work. You have to be holding an item 2 or a crystal 2. So that might be a little bit confusing. But essentially now what we've got is we're on Route 1 and we can pick up our Z crystal. Although I haven't actually given myself the Z ring yet, so I'll go to my debug by pressing F9, then go to add item, then go up a little bit here, give ourselves a Z ring. There we go. Now I can close out, take a look at our bag. So in the key item pouch, we have the Z ring that awakens Z powers in Pokemon, and the Z crystal that we can give to Gyarados. There we go. Gyarados, so I have the Z ring, and Gyarados is holding a Z crystal, and Gyarados has a water move. So those are the specific, basically the specific, what am I trying to say here? If you want Z moves to work, you have to be holding a Z crystal, you have to have the Z ring, and you have to have a move that matches the type of the crystal. Conditionals, that's what I was trying to say. These are the specific conditionals that must be met. And I'll show you what happens when you try to use a Z move without having the proper type. So let's get into our battle now that has disproportionately loud music. And let's destroy this Rattata, shall we? We hit fight. Oh, the Z prompt isn't appearing actually. Oh, please excuse me, I was a little bit too excited and I jumped the gun. There was one thing that we forgot to do for our Z moves. There is another graphic that is important that comes with the assets that we've downloaded. And of course, that is the Battle Z Move PNG. This won't appear if you don't set it up properly, and I was really excited to get the Z moves and showing them off working, but, you know, we kind of need this as well to see that our Z moves are available to be used. So what we need to do is actually copy that, then go into our graphics, pictures, battle folder, and just paste that in here. So now in our battle folder, we have battlezmove.png. You'll know that this is the right folder when there's all these Pokeballs, and then the Mega Evolution prompt is here as well. So battlezmove.png has been placed into the proper folder. Now let us launch our game and showcase Z moves working properly once and for all. So I am going to go back to debug and add the Z ring. I'll take only one. Cool, close that. Now let's pick up that water crystal. Waterium Z. Okay. Now, I guess I'll go to my bag and give this to Gyarados. Gyarados has a whole bunch of water moves, so this should be pretty easy for him. Now, let's put him in a battle and get some Z moves working. Let's show it off. Alrighty. Oh no. The battle has started, and a Rattata has ambushed me. Whatever will I do? I know, I'll destroy it with a Z move. So if we select fight, we will now see that the Z prompt is there. If we hit Z, that means the next water move we select will be a Z move, because we're holding the water crystal. However, if I try to select a move that is not water type, a message will pop up saying that, hey, bite is not compatible, and it'll take you back here. So, let's hit Z again and select Surf. I'm surrounding myself with Z power. I'm unleashing the full force of my Z move. Hydro Vortex. Yes. So, we just used the Z move on a wild Pokemon. Pretty nice. Pretty dramatic. Very overkill. But let's close our game now. And really quickly, I'm going to copy this and paste it so that way we actually have a Z ring item here in the world as well. So, how do we determine the strength of Z moves, and how do we determine the animations that Z moves use, as well as how do we allow AI to use Z moves on us? All of those questions shall be answered extremely shortly. So the very first thing we want to do is go into our script editor and scroll on down into the PokeBattle_Z moves script. This is a new one that was added when we copied all of those scripts over. And what we can do is actually we can scroll down and we can see here that when you're holding Normalium Z2 and Fightium Z2, that it's returning move IDs. And when you're holding this, it's returning Breakneck Blitz. So for example, if you're holding the Fight Z Crystal and you use a Fight move or Fighting type move, then it'll be All Out Pummeling. And if we scroll down even further, scroll down even, well, actually no, right around here, yeah, base damage. The base damage of these Z moves, is determined in this part of the script. So if you want to, you could edit it so that way Z moves are doing even more damage. So, like for example, like some of these are pretty crazy. Once this base move 220 for V create, if you're holding like the Primarina Z crystal that I created, then it'll return with base damage 195. It uses the same typing of the move that you're holding, but yeah, you can mess around with stuff here. You can change accuracy, you can look at move flags and whatnot. Essentially, mess around with this script if you want to change the strength of Z moves, or even add your own Z moves. And then additionally, they define other Z move battle features down here, such as stat increases and whatnot. It's a big script with a whole lot of different working parts for all your Z moves, and I implore you to dig a little bit deeper if you are the curious type, which you should be. Being curious and diving through scripts is a great way to learn a lot of different things. So, that's how we can alter the stats of some of our Z moves. What if we want to fight against an enemy trainer and have them use Z moves on us? Well, it's actually super easy. Let's go into our folder again. I don't know why my mouse is doing that sometimes. Anyway, I'm gonna go into our game folder again, go into the PBS folder, and go into trainers.txt. And let's just find a good trainer to beat us up. How about Fisherman Andrew? He's got a Magikarp. Let's just make that a Squirtle instead. And let's just make it so the Squirtle is holding a Waterium Z2. It has to be the second one. Oh my gosh, Z2. There we go. So, this Fisherman Andrew has a Squirtle, and the Squirtle's held item is Waterium Z2. If we add a comma after the level and just type in the name of an item, that's how you determine the held item. So for example, Onyx 14 Citrus Berry, Squirtle 14 Z Crystal. So now if we fight Fisherman Andrew, his Squirtle will use Z moves on us. So like trainer battles, battles against AI, they can only use Z moves once. So if I use a Z move, I can't use any more Z moves for the rest of the battle. If he uses a Z move, he can't use Z moves for the rest of the battle either. Let's show this off with a little demo. I'm gonna hit F9 to pull up my debug. I'm gonna go into battle options, and I'm gonna test a trainer battle. Let's find Fisherman Andrew. Ah, there he is, in the 10th slot. Fisherman Andrew, use a Z move. Let's see. Let's Z. Funny. Anyway, so if an AI has access to Z moves, they will prioritize it. So I'm gonna use Tail Whip here, and he's gonna use a Z move on me. AI will always use Z moves if they are able to, and they're only able to once. So there it is, Hydro Vortex. That was pretty good damage. I'm gonna let him attack again. He won't be able to use a Z move again, but I'm gonna let him try it again. Yep, see, now he's using Bubble. Cool. So that's how we can get AI to use Z moves. If we have a Z move on one of his Pokemon and then a Z move on another of his Pokemon, the same rule will apply. Only the first usage of a Z move will be allowed, and then his second Pokemon won't use any Z moves anymore. So when you're designing your game and you want AI trainers to have Z moves, maybe try putting the Z Crystal on the last Pokemon in their party, so that way they don't just like explode at the start with all that craziness. So, one thing that's also a very important note is if we do a double battle, and like let's say I get into a double battle with Hiker Ford and Fisherman Andrew, and they both have Z crystals, they will both be able to use Z moves. So I guess I'll show that off right now real quick. The fighting one is called Fightinium Z2. So let's get into a double battle with Hiker Ford and Fisherman Andrew, and showcase that they can both use Z moves. However, us, since we're one trainer, can only use one Z move. So a good rule of thumb to remember it is 1 Z move usage per battle per trainer. Now, let's get into a Z move, or get into a battle with 2 trainers, and let's get double Z moved. Let's just let them beat the crap out of us. So Fisherman Andrew and Hiker Ford. Okay, here we go. Hiker Ford is slot 9. There we go. Let's let them kick our butt. They're gonna kick my butt. So Fisherman Andrew, Hiker Ford. That Machop is holding the Fighting Z Crystal, and that Squirtle is holding the Water Z Crystal. Let's just let them do an attack. Tail Whip and... oh man. I guess I'll dive so that way I don't kill both of them. I don't wanna kill them. Actually, no. I think if I use Bite, that'll not kill the Machop. Although I did just lower his defense. I'm trying to showcase the double Z move usage here, so hopefully I don't... come on, you can live. Yeah, there you go. He's a tough boy. Alright, Machop is surrounding himself with Z power. He's unleashing the full force Z move. All out pummeling. That was pretty strong. It's kind of not as cool though when we don't have any Z move animations, right? Anyway, yeah, they both just did 2 Z moves and they killed my Pikachu. Those bunch of jerks. So those kind of didn't look nearly as cool when we didn't have any animations, right? So how would we add animations to our Z moves? Well, I'll tell you. What we can do is hit F9 and go into our information editors, excuse me, and go to the Battle Animation Editor. I'm going to need to adjust my screen really quickly. Okay, so here is the Battle Animation Editor. I've made a tutorial on this before, but just as a refresher, what we can do here is edit animations, and there is a specific naming format for our Z moves. So let's go to our list of animations, and let's make a new slot down here for our Z move. So what we can do here is just load this animation in slot 300, and I'm going to make a new animation for our Z move, Hydro Vortex, for the water Pokemon. And I can actually import a surf animation that I made in a previous tutorial, and I called it Surf Boys. So if I play this animation, it's nothing too crazy, but it's better than nothing, right? It's better than having our Z moves appear flat and lifeless. So what we can do is actually go into our list of animations, and this actually renamed it, so we need to name it again. And here is the format. Well, instead of calling it move, we want to call it Z move, with a capital M there. Z move, and then the name of the Z move is Hydro Vortex. There we go. So if we ever use Hydro Vortex, it'll play that animation. However, this won't work for enemies if they choose to use Hydro Vortex on us. So instead, what we need to do is make a new one here. I'll just load that and then import surf again. And what we need to do is rename this from move, or from Z move Hydro Vortex. Oh, excuse me. Why am I cannot press the right button today to save my life, can I? Rename, and we want to call this Op Z move. So Op Z move Hydro Vortex. There we go. So if an opponent chooses to use Hydro Vortex, it'll play this animation. If one of our Pokemon choose to use Hydro Vortex, it'll play this animation. So this is how you can create custom animations for your Z moves. I am very bad at making animations, so I'm not going to go right now and create a full-on Z move animation because that would require a lot of different moving parts. Those Pokemon have like flames growing around them, and then they like shoot into the sky, and it like displays big text in the screen and stuff, and this is how you would be able to make those and set those up. It's just I'm not going to make them right now because I've got a tutorial to make and it would take a ton of time and I suck. So if you wanted this video to be like 20 hours long, then maybe, but yeah, since I'm impatient and I want to get the ball rolling, what I'm going to do now is say that these have been created. We can back out and save our changes, exit from the editor. Yes, I'm going to close this now. And since I'm kind of paranoid, I closed the game, and I'm going to reopen it, and we're going to see our Hydro Vortex now have an animation in-game. Let's give ourselves a Z-Ring once again. Ah, yes. Let's give ourselves the Water Crystal once more. Ah, yes. Now, let's go to our Gyarados and give him our Water Crystal. And let's swap him into the front. Aha. Now, let's see how our Z move has an animation now. And I guess while I'm doing this, I can kind of segue into the next point. There are some Z moves that require you to have a... Oh, are there really no wild Pokemon anymore? There it is. There are some Z moves that require you to have a specific Pokemon and a specific move. I'm going to show one of those next, but just so you know, these other Z moves are more general, and they're better IMO. I like them a lot better. Anyway, I unleashed my full force Z move, Hydro Vortex. Wow! Look, it played the animation and everything. Nice. So now it's not boring. It's still kind of boring, but it's not as boring as it was. Anyway, so like I said previously, there are some Z moves that require you to have a specific Pokemon with a specific move. Let's give ourselves one of those right now. I will do add item, and let's see. Actually, it'd be faster for me to just do this. I know which one I want to show you. I already have one of them on my team. It is a Pikachu. So let's actually go into our items.txt once more and take a look at this. So Pikachunium, or is it Shunium? Pikachunium Z2. This is a crystallized form of Z power. It upgrades a Thunderbolt by Pikachu and a cap to a Z move. So interestingly enough, if we give ourselves this Z crystal, we can get a specific special Z move when we have a Pikachu that knows Thunderbolt. So let's test that right now, shall we? Let's give ourselves a Pikachu, which we actually already have at the front of our party, but I don't think it knows Thunderbolt. So I guess I'll try showcasing what it looks like when you don't have Thunderbolt, and then I'll showcase what it looks like when you do have Thunderbolt. So let's give ourselves that Pikachu crystal. Here it is. Let's give that to our Pikachu. Look at that. It's such a good Pika. Such a good boy. All right. Now let's get into a wild battle. That was actually really quick. Very nice. Okay. And then I guess I will try to use Z move. Oh, see, look, the Z prompt does not even appear. I will run away. So now, let's give ourselves, through the power of magical debug, let's give ourselves Thunderbolt. Teach a move, and I'm pressing page down. You can press down to go one at a time, but I like to use page down to go down a ton at a time. Let's see, Thunderbolt's around here. There it is, Thunderbolt. Oh, it wants to learn Thunderbolt, but it already knows 4 moves. Oh, darn. I know. I'll get rid of Electro Ball, because, whatever. I could have gotten rid of Thundershock, too, because it's just a better one, ain't it? Anyway, Pikachu has now learned Thunderbolt. So now, the Z prompt will appear if I get into another battle. Because our Pikachu is holding the Pikachu Z Crystal, and we have the Z Ring in our inventory, and he knows Thunderbolt, now the Z prompt shall appear. There it is! If I hit Z and try to select Tail Whip, it's going to be like, hey, it's not compatible with that Z Crystal, what are you doing? Okay, well, let's hit Z and try to use Thunder Wave. Oh, Thunder Wave isn't compatible with that Z Crystal either, huh. Well, let's hit Z and select Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is compatible. Now we unleash the full force Z move. 10 million volt Thunderbolt. Good gravy, that's pretty damn strong. Yeah, so we really only get to use one of those in a battle. Let's showcase what happens if we try to use 2 in a battle. And to showcase it, I'm going to fight one of those people that we fought before. And, just to showcase it even better, I'm going to give the Water Crystal to our Gyarados. There we go. So our Pikachu has the electric, not the electric one, but the Pikachu Z Crystal, and our Gyarados has the Water Z Crystal. Let's use F9 to open up our debug, go into battle options, and let's test Trainer Battle. How about Fisherman Andrew again? He's going to make a reappearance. He's a pretty good trainer. He's got his own Z moves. Let's show me your moves, huh? Show me your moves. I am going to hit Z and select Z 10,000 Thunderbolt. I mean 10 million. 10 million volt Thunderbolt. Oh look, there's a typo there. It said Thunderbolt. If we want to go in and change that, I'll show you how to change that. I can't believe that. Thunderbolt. Anyway, actually, I'm not going to switch my Pokemon. I'm going to try to hit him with that Z move again. Okay, I can't. I'm hitting Z. There is no way to do it again. I'm going to switch to another Pokemon that has another Z Crystal. And I'm not even afraid of Magikarp, because what's he going to do? Tackle me? What's he going to do? Splash me? I mean, come on. Come on, I'm not afraid of you. So, if I've already used the Z move this battle, so despite the fact that I'm hitting Z a bunch, I can't use Z moves again. You can only use them once per battle per trainer. So I'm my own trainer. Since I'm one trainer, I only get one usage every battle. But I did get a decent amount of experience there. Thank you, Fisherman Andrew. That was a good amount of EXP. Let's go fix that typo now, shall we? It said Thunderbolt, so it should be pretty easy to track it down. Oh, it's actually already right here. Thunderbolt? There we go. Instead of Thunderbolt, or instead of Thunderbolt, now it's Thunderbolt. Cool. So, we're just about done here. We can scroll through and look at more Z-move stuff if we want. There is one very important thing that I want to show you real quick, and that is a crash that I was encountering when I was doing my testing. What we want to do is we want to go and do Control-Shift-F, PB, store item. Actually, no, I'm sorry. What we need to do is Control-Shift-F, def PB store item to find where PB store item is defined. It was in P item bag. There was a crash that occurred here. Let's see, was this the line? Yeah, this is the line right here. This was causing a crash in my test run where running this PB is Z crystal item. This is new and added by the Z crystal scripts. So what I did was I actually went and commented these out, and this caused the PB store item function to stop crashing. The reason that's important is because PB store item is what I use to give myself all of those Z crystals. So what I'm actually going to do here, I'm going to say that this is a done project. We've installed Z crystals into our game properly. I'm going to go back and open that other project that I was working on, the one that had the Poplio in it. And I'm actually going to I'm going to upload this online, by the way. If you want to download this project, check the video description. I added credits and everything, so be sure to say thank you to all these people. Marcelo for coding the Z-moved and scripts, Amethyst Rain for helping, as well as all the other testers, T-Rex for porting it to 17.2, as well as all of the amazing people who worked on all of these amazing sprites, one of them being the Poplio script that I used in this video. Anyway, this video is not done yet. Why am I doing the credits? There's more to be done. I'm going to go into my game project for this one, and I'm going to show you the command that I made to give myself all of the Z crystals. I'm going to post this in, or I'm going to paste this in a something else that can be downloaded, maybe a text file that you can download in the description as well. But I used PB store item to give myself all of the Z crystals at once without having a pop-up every single time. So let's run this game, and if we interact with that, we won't get a pop-up for every Z crystal. It'll just add all of them to our inventory all at once. It's a bunch of Z crystals, yay! So I didn't have to sit through that pop-up where it's like, you just got a this, you just got a this, you just got a that. So in this game, I put them all in the items pouch by setting that value to 1. But like I said before, you can set that value to 8. If you wanted to, you could make your own Z crystals this way and make art for them as well. But yeah, I think that's just about it for Z moves. They're an extremely complex topic, and there's a lot of different moving parts. And hopefully, if you go and install them in your game, you won't get a ton of crashes, because I already crashed plenty today, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I guess I'll just do a little brief summary. We talked about how we could download and install the scripts, and we talked about how it's important to consider that when you install the script in this game, it's going to overwrite previous script changes. So this is best if you're working on a new project where minimal changes have been made to the scripts. If you're working on a project that you've been working on for a long time and you have to overwrite all those changes, I would definitely recommend making a backup and then comparing and contrasting the script differences between the two, and maybe even trying to copy over all the different script parts. If you want to, you can go into the additions.txt, and this shows you all the different places where scripts were changed, so you can use this as well if you want to manually go and copy all the different parts over. It's so much easier if you just replace all the scripts entirely, but at the same time, I can understand if you made a bunch of changes that you wouldn't just want to overwrite all of those and lose all that progress, because that would suck. Let's see. We added the Z ring and the crystal items. I showed you about how we wanted to change it from what it was before, 007 to 000 at the end, so it's a held item. You can change the item pocket here from 1 to 8 if you so prefer. If you prefer, you could change this to a 1 so it shows up in the items pouch. You could change this to an 8 so it shows up in the key items. You could change it to whatever number you want based on your own personal preference. I talked about move animations. We tested it in-game against AI and against wild Pokemon and against other trainers to show that we can't use them multiple times. We used multiple Z moves. All the other Z moves work that I was testing. You could use Iceum to use an Ice Z move, Psychium for the Psychic Z move, and all of that good stuff. Yeah, I think basically all the base functionality is here. The next big step for Z moves would be making all the Z animations, but that's going to be really hard, and I'm a bad animator, so if somebody is a really good animator, and they would want to animate the Z move and Op Z move for each and every Z move, then they would be doing so much work, but they would be doing such a great job in helping the community. Yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. This one has been a long time coming. I guess since I'm at the very end, I will say be sure to follow the Thundaga stream, or on Twitch, Thundaga stream. Be sure to subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe to this channel if you found this episode helpful. Although odds are if you're watching this, you're already subscribed. So I gotta say thank you so much. I do really appreciate you subscribing. I really, really do appreciate it. And follow my Instagram at ThundagaGram, where sometimes I post me going out into the world and doing things where I'm not just sitting in my room playing games all day, because it's nice to hang out with friends and actually go do things. Oh, it's hard though, because my room is so comfortable. Anyway, before I end this episode, I did want to put in one final note. Z-moves are a game mechanic that I personally disagree with. If you add Z-moves to your game, please, 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 for the love of God, make it so that way the trainers that you fight don't only have one Pokemon. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, there were so many trainers that only had one Pokemon, so you would just nuke them with a Z-move, and you'd just move on with your life, and it was like they never even existed. Z-moves, I don't like the design of Z-moves, but I will defend to the death your right to include them in your game if you do like Z-moves. Just letting you know that I personally don't like Z-moves. However, I'm going to make a tutorial for you on this topic because you requested it. And I'm sorry that it took so long for me to finally make this video. That's the one thing I wanted to apologize at the end. I think I made a video 2 years ago, and in that video, at the very end, I'm like, yeah, on my to-do list is Z-moves, and it took this long for me to turn around and make them. So I'm glad that it's finally been done, and it's a weight off of my shoulders. Now that Z-moves are done, the next priority topics that I want to cover will take a lot less time. The fact that the next tutorial that I was going to work on was the Z-move one actually did, like, not depress me, but, like, it was a cloud weighing over me, and I was like, oh man, that's going to be complicated, and learning how to do it and all that stuff. But then I just took a day, collected myself, and I learned how to do it, and now this is the tutorial that you're watching. So, yeah, honestly, like, the more complex the topics they are, the more that it scares me, and the more it makes me not want to learn to do it, and then when I finally do learn it, I feel a great relief when it's done. So, speaking of feeling a great relief when it's done, another great relief is now that this video is done. If this video helped you, be sure to like it and comment and say thank you, and I appreciate you watching. And hopefully you can think of some interesting ways to implement Z-moves in your game, maybe even make your own Z-moves. With all of that said, thank you so much again for watching. I do really appreciate you. And until the next episode, I hope that you all have a good one.